wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
Imagine creating a movie so incredibly expensive and so financially disastrous that it doesn't just lose money, it forces your entire legendary movie studio to completely cease to exist. When you look at movies like Harry Potter and The Lord of the Rings, the fantasy genre looks like a magical money printer. But behind the wizards and the dragons is a terrifying financial graveyard. After those movies made billions, greedy corporate executives thought they could just manufacture magic in a boardroom. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to copy the formula, and it resulted in some of the most humiliating financial bloodbaths in Hollywood history. Today, we are looking at 6 massive, wildly expensive fantasy movies that completely destroyed the people who made them. We are exposing the insane arrogance, the horrible timing, and the simple business mistakes that burned $1 billion to ash. If you want to know the absolute dumbest decisions in Hollywood history and actually learn how the movie business works, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Let's open the vault. Graveyard Exhibit Number 1. Warner Brothers, Pan. In 2015, Graveyard Exhibit Number 2. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. When Marvel started making billions with the Avengers, every other studio in Hollywood panicked. They all wanted a cinematic universe. So Warner Brothers took the legend of King Arthur, and before they even filmed the first scene, the executives aggressively announced they were going to make 6 movies. They were so blinded by greed that they forgot step 1. You actually have to make people care about the first movie.
I got this!
They spent $175 million making King Arthur look like a muddy, confusing video game. They spent 0 time developing characters because they were saving the good stuff for the sequels. When the movie hit theaters, the audience completely rejected it. It lost $153 million. The executives had to walk into the boardroom and awkwardly cancel the other 5 movies. They tried to build a cinematic universe without a foundation, and the whole castle collapsed. Speaking of collapsing, our next disaster involves a movie that actually made almost $500 million, but still lost money.
You felt it, didn't you? The power.
Graveyard Exhibit Number 4, Mortal Engines. In 2018, Universal spent on one thing. It was produced by Peter Jackson, the genius behind The Lord of the Rings.
London.
Graveyard Exhibit Number 5, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Here is the most depressing movie on this list. In 2023, Paramount released this movie and the critics actually loved it. The audience scores were incredible, it was funny, the action was great, and it was a genuinely good piece of art. But the executives made a lethal mistake called release date tyranny. They dropped this movie into theaters on the exact same week as John Wick Chapter 4 and right before the billion-dollar Super Mario Bros. Movie. They sandwiched their own movie between 2 unstoppable juggernauts. Even worse, they let the budget bloat to $150 million because they overspent on production and released it on the worst possible week of the year. This genuinely good movie was suffocated to death. It lost over $100 million because the boardroom couldn't read a calendar. But all of these failures were just money lost. Our final fantasy disaster didn't just lose money, it killed the entire studio. Graveyard Exhibit Number 6, The Golden Compass. In 2007, New Line Cinema, the exact same studio that made The Lord of the Rings, wanted another mega hit. So they spent $180 million to adapt a beloved, edgy, anti-religion fantasy book called His Dark Materials. But right before filming, the corporate executives got terrified. They were so scared of offending religious audiences in America that they completely watered down the script. They ripped out all the dark, interesting themes and turned it into a boring, generic CGI movie about talking polar bears. By trying to please everyone, they pleased absolutely no one. The fans of the book hated it because it was watered down. The religious groups still boycotted it anyway. The movie completely flopped in America. And because New Line Cinema had sold off the international rights just to fund the budget, they didn't even get to keep the overseas money. The loss was so utterly devastating that New Line Cinema went completely bankrupt and had to be absorbed by Warner Brothers. When you look at this fantasy graveyard, the truth is undeniable. Magic cannot be created in a corporate boardroom. You can spend $150 million on computer dragons, you can buy the rights to famous books, and you can announce a 6-movie cinematic universe. But if you insult your audience's intelligence, if you water down your script to please a focus group, or if you refuse to look at a release calendar, the box office will physically destroy you. Hollywood keeps trying to manufacture art with a calculator, and it is costing them billions. If this video blew your mind, wait until you see what happens when we look at the biggest genre of them all, superheroes. If you want to know how the unstoppable Marvel and DC empires burned $1 billion to the ground in the blink of an eye, click the video on your screen right now for episode 3. And don't forget to subscribe to follow the money.